All right. Don't leave meeting. Don't leave the meeting. Okay. I will call the meeting to order. And I will hand it over to Emily to talk through meeting norms and Robert's rules and land acknowledgement, and then we will approve the agenda.
Thanks, Paul. Would you mind showing the, yes, great. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. So I'm just going to run through our general meeting operations real quick and meeting norms. If you would like to seek the floor for any reason, please raise your hand by selecting the reactions in your meeting window and raise hand. Our chair, Paul, will call on raised hands in the order that they have appeared. And please make sure that once you have spoken, that you lower your hand. And if you are on a phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Because this is the endorsements meeting, we will be voting tonight. So make sure that you check the tab, the chat for in your email for your voting codes. And if we need to take a quick poll, make sure that you choose the yes or no reaction, again, found in the reactions or participant panel. There will be some times when the chat is disabled, so just keep in mind that our meeting agenda says when that will be, so just stay tuned to that. You can, for your voting code, if you don't have it yet, you can email tally@43rddemocrats.org. And we are live streaming on YouTube. So if you want to share this link with anyone, please feel free. So our meeting norms, please treat each other in this meeting with dignity and respect. If you don't know the answer to something, please ask. We want to be as welcoming as possible and want to make sure that everyone knows what's going on. Take a moment to step up and also to step back. Remember that everyone here is a volunteer, and together we share responsibility for staying on time. This is so important tonight with all of our candidates going through all the endorsement process. So we use Robert's Rules of Order. So they are a set of parliamentary procedures that we use to run our meetings. If you don't need to know the details to participate. If you'd like to contribute, raise your hand and we'll help you go from there. Most motions are pretty simple. One example is I move that we approve, amend, postpone the resolution. You have a right to participate as a full member in our meetings. If you need us to slow down or explain what's going on, please raise your hand and ask, and we're happy to do so. And if you are a parliamentary rock star, use your powers for good and consider the impact that making a complicated motion will have on the meeting and the group as a whole. All right, and our land acknowledgement. So although we are all virtual, sorry, I just lost my mouse and I can't, it's like cut off for me. Paul, I'm so sorry. I want to make sure that I read it the correct way. I need to figure out my mouse. Do you mind reading it?
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Although we're all joining virtually tonight, we'd like to start this event acknowledging that we are on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and Duwamish tribe. If you'd like to learn more about whose land you occupy and have occupied, see the map at native-land.ca. And as a reminder, the 43rd pays rent to Real Rent Duwamish in concert with these land acknowledgements. All right. Can someone post the agenda into chat again for me? The link to the agenda? Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? I see a hand from Liam and a hand from Jacob. Is that a motion to Liam?
Yep.
And a second, Jacob? Thank you. Without objections, then we will adopt this agenda. First up on the agenda is approval of the minutes from May. Let me open this up. I will make sure to post them in here. May meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from May? I see a hand from Justin. Do we have a second? I see a second from Jacob. Is there any objection to approving them? And I see a third. Is there any objection to approving the minutes? If so, raise your hand. Is there any objection? All right, seeing no objection, we have adopted the minutes by acclamation. Moving back to our agenda, chair report, candidate forum. First up, over the last month, we have held a couple of candidate forums. We had one co-hosted with the Young Democrats in May. For D4, it was a very successful, in my view, event. It was great to partner with the UW Young Democrats on that. And then, and also, let's see, we partnered with the 36th and the 36th Democrats on that as well. And then just last week, we hosted a District 3 Seattle forum at KEXP, co-hosted with the 37th Democrats and Tech for Housing. The live stream for that one is up on YouTube if you would like to hear more from the candidates in depth. And I want to have a shout out to Dawn for all the hard work that she did on orchestrating these, and also Jacob for the assistance that he did, and all the other volunteers who helped make sure these were successful events. And then Pride Brunch. Jacob, do you want to speak to the Pride Brunch?
Do you have the text pulled up? I would need to find it. If not, it's fine, but.
Sorry, I don't have the text pulled up, sorry.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I think Nasheen sent it to me. She is on a plane right now, so she wanted me to read it. But essentially to reiterate that we have the Pride Brunch this weekend on Sunday at 10, from 10 to 12:30. Please sign up. I believe we sent out an email about it. We'd love to get more people attending, both as attendees and sponsors. We're going to have lots of good food, lots of good candidates to hear from. We're having our own Nicole Macri there to speak. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please sign up and have a good time. I think that's the gist of it.
Yeah, thank you. And we did send a email out to the entire we sent out an email. Sorry about that, kids in the background. We did send out an email to the mailing list. So if you didn't get that, feel free to reach out and we can get you the details on how to sign up for that. And maybe Jacob, if you can post the link to the sign up page as well.
We're on the same page. I just sent it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. All right. And then volunteer opportunities. We are always looking for more people to volunteer. So if you haven't already, please take a few minutes to sign up for volunteering right there. Okay, first up on our agenda, before we get into endorsements, we have a resolution. Let me post that into chat here. All right, the link to the resolution is in chat. Sophia, would you like to speak to what the content of this resolution is, and then we'll go into the speeches for and again.
Yeah, this is in regards to a lot of the processes that has been going on that culminated to an incident in the state committee meeting, the last state committee meeting. So there has been a change in how delegates get allocated when before it was done so by the population of Democrats in each LD to same number of delegates per each LD. So it's kind of like going from a House style allocation to a Senate style allocation. While doing so, the state party has stated that this change will be better for diversity and has given numbers in doing so, but they have not released any information in regards to those numbers, despite us requesting it. At the meeting, I came and brought a 16-page report trying to reproduce their numbers and getting a different result. And when I tried to present it, I was shut away from the discussion. Like, they closed the discussion, so I wasn't able to speak. And so this resolution is asking for an acknowledgement that of the issues in the process, including all of the misleading information, all of the stonewalling and preventing people from speaking, and also finally the the racist incident that happened directed towards me at the state committee meeting, where they shut me out of discussion when I tried to bring forth information. That is the gist of it. There is more there's a lot more in it, obviously, but I think that is kind of like the summary. Our state committee member Amy Madden would also be able to speak in regards would also be able to answer questions in regards to the change that has been happened in our delegate selection process too.
Yes, hi everyone. This is Amy Madden, one of your state committee representatives, and I am happy to answer any questions or to help Sophia and Paul and Emily and everyone answer.
Are there any questions about the resolution? Stan, yeah.
Could you clarify what is exactly is being asked? What is the resolution demanding or asking? So that it appears to be a comparison of calculations that Sophia presented versus what Washington Democrats used. Is that right?
It's a little bit more than that. We, like this resolution is asking that, the state party acknowledge that, a racist incident has happened. Like at the state committee meeting, first of all, and also that, that the, changes in, the changes in how the delegates are allocated is also, bad for diversity, and how, the calculations that were used to justify that, was not, was not presented. So we're asking that they do present those numbers also, and also compare, and then also compare the numbers against mine, because, and yeah. And also, to take some authentic public steps in creating new policies and rules that would prevent this from happening again.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Tim,
and also, and also it wasn't just a, difference in calculations, like, the state party presented numbers, that made this claim, without justification, and so like a big claim. And, and it was trusted intrinsically, while I brought a 16-page report, trying to reproduce those numbers and trying to, verify it, that, and, I was shut out and not, and prevented from showing them.
Tim Gould. Thank you so much, Sophia. Tim Gould has a question, and so does Shobit for you.
Yes, thank you. Could someone please clarify the actual methodology used to determine the allocation of delegates in each of these two methods? You know, what had been used before, and then the method that apparently the state Democrats have just adopted or are on the verge of adopting. Thank you.
Yes, so, so all of the legislative districts are, divided so that they have roughly the same population. But because of difference in politics and such, some legislative districts have more Democrats while others have less. So, previously, and what was the standard norm that was being used in how delegates are selected, like if legislative district A has twice as many Democrats as legislative district B, then legislative district A would get twice the number of delegates as, legislative district B. Now legislative district A and B, regardless of how many Democrats are in there, have, the same number of delegates. Also, while doing so, the delegates' job is to, bring the voices of the people into the, bring the voices of the Democrats within the legislative district. So it's kind of going from each Democrat has, an equal voice, in the system, to each legislative district has an equal voice in the system.
Thank you, Sophia. Shobit has a question for you.
Can I add just?
Sophia, yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I just want to say I'm popping in the chat. Sophia Lee and I wrote up a document explaining the difference between proportional allocation and flat allocation and the impacts that that might have. We sent that out to as many Democratic activists as we could, and I'm going to pop the link to that into the chat. That might help people kind of understand the issue.
Thank you, Amy. And yeah, it's a lot to take in. There's a lot of things in regards to it. So yes, anyway, please keep going.
So Sophia, I totally agree with you. There wasn't fair. It's like, you know, what happens, and as you were saying that we went from a House to a Senate, like our 43rd district has 90% Democrats, while somebody in Walla Walla County or in Northeastern County, the district might only have 10% Democrats. Now you're weighing them equally. Do we know how many delegates we used to have and how many will we have now? How many we have lost because of this?
The total number of delegates that we had from previous to now within the state has changed a little. So it's kind of like hard to compare previous versus now. But I have released my report that shows all of the different LDs and how it will affect them. So currently there are going to be 980 delegates that are split amongst the 49 legislative districts. And so that would mean each legislative district going forward will have 20 delegates, and it varies wildly how many that they would, or each legislative district would get, depending on population. I will also note that the flat allocation change is not the change that has gone forward. There was some changes to that to try to equal it out using bonus delegates, which will have very little impact on the distribution.
Thank you, Sophia, for that information. Rob?
Sorry, Dawn.
question.
Let me jump in here. I would like to thank everyone for the question. Couple of things. I want to be mindful of the time, number one. Number two, the resolution that we have in front of us isn't to overturn the delegate selection plan. That's going forward. The resolution that we have is about the process in which the delegate selection plan happened, which had some, what I think what I would term, these are my words, some aspects of systemic racism in them, and ignored in a less than transparent way some valuable input from Sophia and others. And it's about the process and not about the delegate result of the delegate plan, even though we still firmly disagree with the delegates selection plan. So I just want to have a put a fine point on that. Rob Dolan, do you have a question about the?
I have a motion to table, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Mr. Chair, if I could briefly speak, I want to just recognize that Sophia has done absolutely, I'm an engineer with a minor in statistics. Sophia did absolutely amazing work analyzing the plan that was presented by the state party and coming up with some concerns, helping enable people to voice their concerns, building a web form so people could submit those concerns, and then being physically present and ready to present her case. And then the situation was Sophia was not given the opportunity to present her case, and that was not good. I believe that this is a very well-intentioned resolution, but I think that there's a lot here to unpack, both asking the state party to publicly acknowledge racism interwoven into the process, as well as all of the details around the allocation. given the other business that we have tonight, and also given that the state Democrats don't meet again until September, I move that we table this resolution to the definite time of the 43rd District Democrats' next meeting.
May I
James, if
speak
I
against
can,
that? Oh, go ahead, Paul, please.
James, if I can ask you on this, is it in order to request to table a resolution before we get to speaking for and against it?
Just give me a moment, please.
All right, thanks.
Marcus, do you have a question or a statement?
Sorry, no, we're Don,
We're
we're
tabling?
Drew's holding here.
Paul. So
Well, I second Rob's motion to table. I was
Hey,
actually going to call.
Sorry,
the question,
Marcus, you're thank you. James?
a motion to table has to be taken with a majority vote to table a motion without killing it.
And the motion can be made before we get to debate.
It may.
Okay. All right. We have
Actually, Paul, may I speak?
Yes.
I am, like me personally, I am okay with tabling this resolution. This is going to be a very long night with all of the endorsements that are going on. I think that it is more important that people understand and know what has happened. And people could go look at it and figure out what happened, and then we could come back and do the resolution next month. It is more important that people see what it is and understand and get clarity on it than I think we voting on the action.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Sophia. With that, we'll consider the resolution withdrawn and then not vote on whether to table. We'll just, is that acceptable? Rob, Sophia?
Yes, that is acceptable, and after the meeting or at any point, if anybody wants to ask for information on the incident and also the things leading up to the incident, I would be happy to explain it in further detail.
All right, thank you very much, Sophia. So for everyone, the agenda from tonight and the minutes that we will have from tonight have a link to the resolution. I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the resolution and read it and understand the issue and how structurally we in my view, structurally, we failed Sophia and other underrepresented communities within and minorities within the Democratic Party in Washington. All right. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, Amy, I see you have your hand up.
I don't know if it's in order for me to, I just wanted to say that, you know, many of us worked very, very hard to elect an incredible team of leadership to the state party. And many of us have a lot of faith in those leaders. And we believe that, a number of those leaders have experienced some of the cultural issues within the party with the way underrepresented folks are not always heard or respected or, just listened to in various party processes. Like, our state party chair has gone through this kind of thing too. And we are really hoping that the end result of all of this will be partnering with her and with the leadership team to ensure that we fix anything that went wrong and ensure that underrepresented people are better heard, because they were not heard during this process. And, their comments were written up as just copy paste when they sent in, comments to the Rules Committee. And, there were a number of times when people tried to be heard and they were treated as if they were calling Eastern Washington and the party chair racist, which nobody in any way did. So it's been a really difficult road. Sophia has been through a lot with this. I have been through a lot with this, and we're dealing with a lot of fallout because we've chosen to speak up. So I really hope that the 43rd will be supportive in ensuring that the wrongs here get righted. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are moving on to the endorsement. The endorsement portion of the meeting. I'm getting word that people can't join because the meeting is at capacity. I see we have 100 participants. Do we not have ability to have more than 100 people?
Matthew has his hand raised.
This is an issue that has come up at a couple of LD meetings. It's something you can change in the back end now and let folks know that they can rejoin, but you have to upgrade the plan.
You have to upgrade the plan and then people can join.
Correct.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, is this something that you can get for us while we kind of
I
holding
can
pattern here?
try. Give me a quick moment here, and then Sophia, if you're familiar with this and are able to do it faster than me, please don't hesitate.
Amy and Matthew also have their hands
And
raised.
I see, Dawn. Thanks. Okay. While we're trying to get additional capacity here, and thank you, Matthew, for providing that info. We're going to talk about how the endorsement process is going to work. We have a lot of people and a lot of candidates, a lot of positions, and we are going to use what we hope is a little bit of a streamlined process to get us through and out of here by 9 o'clock. The process is gonna look like this. We will ask for nominations for each race in turn. We only need one voting member to nominate. There's no speeches with nominations. It's just, I would like to nominate so-and-so for this position. After we've gotten all of those nominations, we will then have speeches from each of the candidates. Candidates will have 2 minutes to speak. They can speak the full 2 minutes. They can cede the full 2 minutes to somebody else. They can take part of the 2 minutes and give part of the 2 minutes to somebody else. It's up to the candidate how they want to use that 2 minutes of time. After all the candidates have spoken, we will then post the link to vote. There'll be one ballot with all the candidates on it. You will be able to vote. You will be able to vote for all the candidates all on that ballot. On that ballot, there will be candidate names for each race. nominated candidates for each race, there will be an abstain option and a no endorsement option. I will talk through how the abstain and no endorsement are important in just a second. Candidates who receive more than 60% of the votes will receive an endorsement. You can vote for multiple candidates in a race, not just one. And so if you vote for candidate A and candidate B, and candidate A and candidate B both receive more than 60% of the vote, both of them will receive an endorsement. If you vote abstain for a race, then your vote is not counted against the 60% threshold. On the other hand, if you vote no endorsement in a race, your vote is counted against the 60% threshold. So I'm going to try to do some math on the spur of the moment here, so bear with me. If there are 100 people voting and there are 10 abstains, those 10 do not, there's 100 people voting, to 60% threshold is 60 votes. However, if 10 people vote abstain, the threshold is not 60, the threshold is whatever it is, 55 or something less than 60, because those 10 abstain votes are tossed out of the denominator for the percentage. On the other hand, if there's 100 people voting, threshold is 60, and 10 people vote no endorsement, those 10 votes count against the 60% threshold, and so there needs to be more than 60. There still has to be 60 people voting to get that in the endorsement there. If no candidate receives more than 60% of the vote, then any candidate who receives 40% of the vote or more will be eligible for a single reconsideration. And we will do one reconsideration vote per race. So again, if a candidate receives more than 60%, or all candidates who receive more than 60% for a race will receive an endorsement. If no candidate receives more than 6%, then any candidate who receives more than 40% will be part of the reconsideration vote. And at that point, if any candidate receives more than 6%, they'll receive the endorsement. If in reconsideration, a candidate does not receive more than 6%, then in that race, we will not endorse. We are going to do a practice vote here in a minute. I am waiting to see if we've gotten our issue fixed. I am seeing we have 101 participants in the Zoom now, so maybe we have this fixed.
It looks like it, and now we can have up to 500. So everybody invite 400 friends.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, this is your tech
yes.
committee chair.
Yeah.
I have not yet upgraded our plan. Did
Rob,
someone else
Brad did it.
successful in upgrading?
Yeah, Brad upgraded it.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
All right. And let me just take a quick look here. There's a few candidates who are messaging us saying they weren't able to get in. I am seeing them in here now. Thank you, Brad, for doing the upgrade, and thank you, Andrew and others, for alerting us to this problem. And thank you again, Matthew, for giving us the instructions on how to fix it. Whew. Never a dull moment. All right. Before we move to a practice vote, are there any questions about the endorsements process? If you do have a question, please raise your hand. Rai, yes, thank you.
Hey, Paul, I'm still missing my vote code. I don't know if that's something that.
Email Tally at 43rd Democrats for that.
Okay, yeah.
Rob? Rob? You have your hand up, Rob?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I want to remind people that they need to sign in via the initial credentials form prior to casting their vote. If they do not sign in, their voting code will not be activated.
Let's make sure that we have given everybody.
I can
that.
repost the link to sign in if
I
needed.
think I just did it here.
Yes, that is it.
All right.
So people first need to go and enter
Yeah,
their
looks like
voting
that.
code and sign in that they are present. Then they can vote in the test vote.
I am going to stop sharing so that I can sign in without you all seeing my voting code. Additional questions from anybody? Any questions about the process? Okay. All right, so we are going to do a practice vote. If Rob, if you could post, sorry, if you could post that into chat, that would be awesome. Can someone post the test vote into chat, please? All right. I will start sharing again here, and we'll walk through this. We'll walk through this together. All right. So you can see the voting form here. First thing is you need to put in your voting code. Please make sure that you have signed in with the credential form first. That link is in the chat. We can post that again in a minute in case anybody new has come. Then we are asking, Rob, is this the, I'm on the.
Paul, I think you may have extra credentials.
Okay, so other people aren't seeing this. Okay, so you can see here we are the.
Paul, you are on the forum page, not the link that we sent, that we're sending out for, I will post the correct link.
Yeah, sorry, Sophia, can you post the correct link?
Yeah.
I just sent it.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Okay.
Ugh, one of those evenings.
All right. So you post your voting code. And then we're voting on what the best pets are. Now remember, you can you can choose multiple candidates here. So I can choose both puppies and kitties and bunnies. I don't prefer reptiles, so I'm not going to vote for them. If you vote for a candidate, do not also choose no endorsement or abstain. That will essentially spoil the ballot and will create extra work. Or if I choose, I can say, hey, you know what? I don't care about pets, so I'm going to abstain. Or I love all pets, so I don't want to endorse anyone over another one. Those are all valid options. So, but you can multi-select, or you can choose no endorsement or abstain. And we also are choosing pizza toppings. So I like cheese, sausage, olives, and of course pineapple, because pineapple is the best thing on pizza. So again, multi-select. Any candidate that receives more than 60% of the vote will get an endorsement. A no endorsement vote counts against the 60%, and abstain does not. And then Happy Pride. I love people who are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, asexual, agender, non-binary, and pan. I won't put in my my voting code to click submit, but you get the idea. So I would, if everyone can take just a couple of minutes to do this, practice it so we so everyone understands and you can ask your questions. This will help us as we get to the actual vote in hopefully about 64 minutes. Rob, your hand is up. Greg, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, and I'm sorry if I missed it, is the voting code that I got in the email the same as the code that I put in when I first joined the meeting?
Yes, you received a voting code in email. Use that
Right.
voting code for the credentials, this credentials link to sign into the meeting, and use that same voting code when you do vote for endorsements, or in this case, vote to do the your favorite pizza topping,
Okay.
etc.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Liam was pointing out, it's not the Zoom meeting passcode, but it is the voting code that you got from us. Someone, Ben, has asked in chat if an email can be sent out to those who had trouble joining due to the Zoom participation. We can't target people who had trouble joining, but we could send out an email to everybody. I will leave it to someone else on the board to do that. But right now, if everyone can just take 30 seconds and vote on this form here. Thank you, Rob. So if everyone can vote on this form, we will pull up the results of that momentarily, and we'll take any questions that people might have on how to do these votes. Any questions anyone might have about how to vote or about the endorsements process in general? Any questions? All right. Cool. Rob, can you pull the results from this test vote? Catherine, yes. When we vote for endorsing candidates, you can vote for more than one candidate in a race. You can vote for one candidate, all candidates, several candidates, or you can vote abstain or abstain and no endorsement. Okay. Let's move on then. Let me share my screen again. Okay, we are going to take nominations for each race in turn. Dawn, if you, since I've got my screen up, it's hard for me to see if people have their hands raised. If you can call out when somebody has raised their hand to do an endorsement. So first race we have is endorsement for King County District 2. We have a nomination in King County District 2. If you'd like to nominate somebody, please raise your hand.
Question, do people have to speak or can they also type in chat?
If they would like to just type in chat, that's fine. I can't see chat right now, so I will need Jacob, you or Dawn to call it out. Do we have an endorsement? Do we have a nomination for King County District 2? All right, I see Linda.
Derek Richards as well.
Derek. Who would you like to nominate, Derek? Okay, for purposes of the time, let's just use is chat. Oh, Linda, yes, I see your question here. Can somebody, is there a nomination in King County District 2? Yes, Derek.
I'd like to nominate Councilmember Girmay Zahalai.
All right. Thank you very much. There are no other possible candidates for that race, so we'll move on. Thank you. Port position number 2. Are there any nominations in that race? Derek, I see your hand is still raised. Are there any nominations for port position number 2?
Vivian.
Vivian, yes. Oh, and I see
I'd like
also,
to nominate.
Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Sam Cho, please.
All right, thank you very much. No other nominations possible for that race. So next up, King County Assessor. Are there any nominations for the King County Assessor? Julia.
I'd like to nominate John Wilson.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, King County position it's D4. Are there any nominations for King County D4? You can put it into chat or raise your hand.
John has a nomination he'd like to add.
Wait.
Speak, John.
He has to unmute.
I'd like to nominate Sarah Reineveld.
All right, thank you. Are there any other nominations? I see a nomination in chat for Jorge Barone and
Second nomination for Jorge.
Thank you. We only need one nomination. We don't need multiple.
I'd like to nominate.
Sorry,
yes,
go ahead.
I would like to nominate Becca Johnson Poppy.
All right, thank you. We have nominations for all possible candidates in King County D4. King County District 8. Are there any nominations in District 8? I see a nomination for Teresa Mosqueda. I see multiple people saying Teresa Mosqueda. Are there any other nominations for King County District 8? John, coming forward, your hand is still raised. Do you have another nomination?
I apologize.
All right, thank you. Any other nominations for King County District 8? One last time, any other nominations? All right, seeing no nominations, no other nominations.
Was Teresa Mosqueda been nominated?
Yes, Teresa Mosqueda has been
All right,
nominated.
okay, thank you.
All right, moving on then to port position number 5. Are there any nominations here? Linda, I see you have your hand raised.
Fred Fellman.
Fred Fellman, thank you. There are additional, Dawn, I see you had your hand raised.
I'd like to nominate Jesse Tam, please. For port.
Okay, we have a nomination for Jesse Tam. Are there any other nominations for this position? We have a nomination for Fred Fellman and a nomination for Jesse Tam. Any other nominations? One last time, any other nominations?
May I also nominate Todd Curtis? Is that appropriate?
It is your choice as a 43rd voting member. I'd see Julia.
Yeah, I can nominate, who's left? Todd Curtis?
Todd Curtis.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we have a nomination for Todd Curtis. Moving on to Seattle District 6. Do we have any nominations here? Linda, I see your hand is up still. I see a Dan Strauss in chat. Thank you.
And a Ben's hand is raised to nominate someone.
Ben, who would you like to nominate?
Someone beat me to it. Dan Strauss for District 6, please.
Okay. I see in chat a nomination for John Lisbon. Thank you. Are there any other nominations for Seattle District 6? Any other nominations for Seattle District 6? Dave Bradley.
Yes. Sorry, I'll nominate Pete Hanning, please.
Okay, a nomination for Pete Hanning. Are there any other nominations for Seattle District 6? We have nominations for Pete Hanning, John Lisbon, and Dan Strauss. Are there any other nominations? One last time, any other nominations? Okay. Seeing no additional nominations, we will move on to Seattle District 7. Are there any nominations for Seattle District 7? Vivian, I see your hand. We've got in chat an nomination for Isabella Kerner and a nomination for Andrew Lewis. Are there any other nominations? Vivian?
I was going to nominate Councilmember Lewis.
Okay, thank you. And John Comerford.
Yes, sir. Rob Kettle.
You would like to nominate Rob Kettle. Okay. All right, thank you. And just as a reminder, the list of candidates that we have here are the candidates who met the qualifications for our endorsement process. And so if you don't see a candidate here, it meant that they did not meet the requirements for 43rd endorsement. Okay, Seattle District 4. Do we have a nomination here? I see a nomination in chat for Ron Davis. Do we have, and I see a nomination for Maritza Rivera. All right, thank you very much for Seattle District 4. We'll move on to Seattle District 3 now. I'm starting to feel like I'm an auctioneer here. Whew. Seattle District 3, do I have a Seattle District 3? Who do we have nominated here? Okay, hold on, we got a bunch of people in chat. Joy, Alex, Rye, Alex Cooley, Efren, Shobit, Andrew, Shobit, Rye, Andrew, Alexander Cooley, Joy, Efren, and Alex Hudson. Everyone in Seattle District 3 has been nominated in chat. Thank you all for that. That was a lot of energy. Love it. Thank you all. And finally, Seattle School Board District 3. This is the last race that we are considering nominations for. Seattle School Board District 3. Do we have any nominations here? I see a nomination in chat for Evan Briggs.
I nominate Christy Robertson.
I see a nomination for, thank you, Vivian, for the nomination for Christy Robertson. Are there any additional nominations for Seattle School Board District 3? Any other nominations for Seattle School Board District 3? We have a nomination for Christy Robertson and a nomination for Evan Briggs.
Paul,
Looks like Cheryl Berenson nominated Ben Gittenstein. Yes, Jacob.
yeah, Paul, sorry. I realized that after I created this list of candidates for the agenda, I didn't add Bobby Goodwin because he got in, he was eligible just at the last second after I checked the list of candidates.
Gotcha. So for Seattle District 3, Bobby Goodwin is.
And now he's been nominated.
Okay, he's been nominated. All right. Thank you for that clarification, Jacob, and thank you, Jared, for nominating. And let me add Bobby Goodwin to the list here. All right. That's all the nominations. Nominations will be closed. We are now going to go back through the races, and in turn, we will hear from candidates. Candidates have 2 minutes to speak. They can use the full 2 minutes, or they can cede all or part of that time to somebody else. And first up, we have in King County District 2, Councilmember Girmay Zahalai.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you to the 43rd District Democrats for having us all here. I also want to send a special thank you to Derek for nominating me from the comfort of his own bed. I really appreciate that. And also thank you to the 43rd District Democrats for having me go first before all the city races and saving me a bunch of time. I appreciate that too. I'm Girmay Zahalai. I have the honor of representing you on the King County Council. I represent District 2, which includes a lot of the University District, Capitol Hill, the Central District, South Seattle, and Skyway. In my first term on the council, which I started in the beginning of 2020, my team and I have led efforts to make transformational investments in a lot of different underserved neighborhoods in my district, like Skyway. We've built thousands of units of homes for low income and unhoused neighbors. We've championed probably one of the largest investments in our behavioral health system in our state's history through the Crisis Care Centers levy. We've passed historic tenant protections and so much more. There is a lot more work to do, and so I'm running for a second term to continue our work to build more affordable homes, to invest in behavioral health, and to invest in community safety, youth opportunity, and overall community well-being. I really would greatly appreciate your endorsement today. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, thank you. Next up, as a reminder, voting for the candidates will happen at the end. Next up, Port Position 2, Sam Cho.
Sam messaged me a little bit ago saying he's in Korea on a business trip for the port, so he wasn't able to make it.
All right, thank you. Is there a representative for someone who would like to speak for him?
He didn't tell me ahead of time, so I don't believe so.
Okay. All right. Next up then is King County Assessor John Wilson was nominated. Is Assessor John Wilson here?
Doesn't look like it.
All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak for King County Assessor John Wilson? Okay. Moving on then to the race King County District 4. We have 3 nominations here: Jorge Barone, Becca Johnson Poppy, and Sarah Reineveld. Jorge Barone, are you here to? Oh, I see Nicole Macri as her hand. Oh, and there's Jorge. All right,
Yes,
you ready to speak?
Representative Macri is going to start.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Macri. I'm your representative in the State House, and I'm really excited to support Jorge for the 43rd endorsement tonight. I support Jorge because I've worked with him. I know how he builds effective coalitions, works with marginalized communities to take on big fights, and achieves real policy results and significant investments for people in our state and in our county. He's led on civil rights for 15 plus years as the executive director of Northwest Immigrant Rights Project. He's pushed back against the racist policies of the Trump administration and ensured safety for immigrant and refugee communities in our state. Jorge is a proud immigrant, a public school parent, and is especially proud to be the father of a transgender daughter. Representation matters. This election is an important opportunity for change. The population of our county is nearly half people of color. Jorge would be the first person of color elected to represent King County District 4. It's my honor to introduce you to Jorge.
Thank you so much, Representative Macri, and hello, everybody. My name is Jorge Baron. You see him pronounced, and I'm running to serve you on the King County Council because I believe that together we can build a stronger, more just future for all families in King County. As you heard, I'm an immigrant who arrived in the United States from Colombia at the age of 13 and who was bullied for not speaking English, and the proud parent of a trans daughter. And those experiences have helped me understand the importance of confronting injustice and the challenges faced by marginalized communities. Throughout my legal career, I've dedicated myself to working on behalf of those communities, leading the Northwest Immigrant Rights Project for the past 15 years. I have a proven track record of building coalitions and achieving policy change at the state and local level, and I hope to bring those skills to tackle the challenges our county faces. As an outsider to government, I bring fresh perspectives to county policymaking. In addition to Representative Macri, I'm grateful to be supported by leaders like Representative Pramila Jayapal, State Senators Rebecca Saldana, Joe Nguyen, Representative Liz Berry, and Councilmember Sahilai Cowells and Teresa Mosqueda, among others. With my unique perspective, professional lived experience, and commitment to justice, I'll work tirelessly to create a more equitable and inclusive King County that serves the needs of all of its residents. I'd be grateful to earn your support. Thank you.
Paul, you're on mute. I muted myself. Next up, Becca Johnson Poppy. All right, whenever you're ready.
There we go.
Becca.
Great. Wasn't letting me unmute there for a second. Thank you so much. All right, I'm Becca Johnson Poppy. Thank you so much for having me here. I know what it takes to move progressive policy forward in King County because I've been doing it. In my day job, I direct half of the county's $16 billion budget, including Metro Transit and parks. I created a groundbreaking climate equity program that funds green home energy conversions and new affordable housing. As the Director of Policy, Planning, and State Operations for the University of Washington, I implemented paid family and medical leave and championed legislation that delivered affordable higher education to thousands of new students. As a board member of 2 nonprofits, an elected precinct committee officer, a former member of King County Dems Endorsement Committee, I have been rolling up my sleeves and showing up for our community. If we are going to take on the biggest issues in the region, we need someone who can make progress right out of the gate. I will bring my experience getting things done at the county to ensure we protect our environment, advance equity, and grow our economy. Those 3 E's, the environment, equity, and the economy, are the pillars of my campaign. We need safe, reliable public transportation, which is why on day 1, I proposed a countywide transportation benefit district. Helping our unhoused neighbors is an urgent priority, and I will scale up supportive services that save lives and build healthy communities for everyone. And I will not only champion progressive revenue, but also know how to navigate the challenging times until that revenue becomes a reality. I've spent my career turning progressive ideas into action, and I'm here to do everything I can for our community. I'm proud to be endorsed by the National Women's Political Caucus, sole endorsement from King County Young Democrats, unanimous endorsement from UW Young Democrats, Public Lands Commissioner Hillary Franz, County Councilmember Joe McDermott, State Representatives Liz Berry, Christine Reeves, community leaders Dorothy Bullitt and Carrie Moon, and dozens of other elected and community leaders. I would be honored to have your support. I look forward to seeing you at the Pride Brunch on Sunday, and I hope to have your endorsement. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Becca. Next candidate in King County for King County District 4, Sarah Reineveld. Sarah.
Hello, 43rd. My name is Sarah Reineveld. I'm a public sector attorney, Seattle Public School parent, transit writer, union organizer, and community advocate. Thank you for your service. Like you, I have spent countless hours as a Democratic Party activist, PCO, and former chair of the Thundering 36, organizing and helping to advance our shared progressive agenda. I have dedicated my 15-year public service career to advancing progressive solutions to some of our region's most pressing challenges. As an assistant attorney general in the office of AG Bob Ferguson for over 10 years, I have stood up to powerful interests, holding environmental violators accountable and fighting for wages and protections for workers. As a member of the King County Women's Advisory Board since 2016, I have worked with communities across King County and the King County Council to help secure investments in behavioral health, childcare, affordable housing, and services for survivors of gender-based violence. I want to continue my track record of working with and elevating community voices to drive progressive results on the King County Council. I am running because we need bold and transformative action to urgently address the scale of the challenges facing our county. The status quo isn't good enough. King County can and must do more to meet the behavioral health needs of our neighbors in crisis, to create more truly affordable housing, to boost transit service, tackle the climate crisis, reimagine and end racial disparities in our criminal legal system, and create equity and opportunities so all in our communities can thrive. I am proud to be endorsed by my boss, AG Bob Ferguson, Hillary Franz, council members such as Jeannie Cole-Wells, Zimbowski and Zahoi, port commissioners such as Mohammed and Cho, all the Democratic LDs that have endorsed in this race, including the 36th, the 46th, and the 32nd district, our transit operators, UAW 4121, the Transit Raiders Union, and Washington Conservation Action. It would mean so much to me to earn the endorsement of the 43rd this evening. Thank you for all you do and for having me here.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Moving on next to King County Council District 8. We have one candidate nominated in this race, Councilmember Teresa Mosqueda. Go for it.
Thank you so much. Members of the 43rd, it's my incredible honor to be the sole nominated candidate for District 8 for King County Council. I want to thank all of you for your incredible support tonight and the folks who were lined up to speak, Representative Macri, Stan Shorter, longtime labor leader, Sean Scott, and Ryan Watt. Thank you all for your support tonight and considering my nomination for being a 43rd District Democrat endorsed candidate for King County Council. What you've seen from me is somebody who is progressive, collaborative, and effective. I'm a legislator who brings people together to tackle our most pressing crises across our region. And I've done that in Seattle, and with your support, I will do that at King County Council. I'm running for King County Council to address our health, housing, and worker supports needs across this county. I am excited about the work that I've been able to do with your support, passing progressive revenue like Jumpstart progressive payroll tax, quadrupling our investment in affordable housing, expanding worker protections to hotel workers, gig workers, and domestic workers. And I know that many of the workers and folks around this region who can't afford to live in Seattle also need someone who's going to stand up and stand with them as we address the most pressing crisis that we see, not only housing, but the shadow pandemic of substance abuse needs, mental health needs, isolation, depression. I can do this if I sit on King County Council. I can do this by directly investing in public health resources at the county council. And I can do this by continuing to invest in the social determinants of health, not only public health investments, but housing and worker and small business support. So thank you for considering my nomination for the endorsement for the 43rd, and I will do you proud and keep pushing our progressive agenda at the county council.
Thank you, Teresa. Next race, port position number 5. We have 3 candidates here, Fred Felleman, Todd Curtis, and Jesse Tam. First up, Fred Felleman. Fred, whenever you're ready.
Well, thank you, the 43rd, for giving me this opportunity to earn your endorsement. I am Fred Fellman. I've been the incumbent for the past 2 years, almost 2 years. And it's really been an honor to serve the King County residents for this period of time on the commission. I'm running for a third term now for exercise the environmental leadership I've provided since I've gotten there to inform a just, inclusive transition to a clean energy economy that generates living wage jobs. Upon arrival, I created the Energy and Sustainability Committee. And since this time, we've created a whole Office of Environmental Excellence. And the port has really been transforming into a true environmental leader. My service is guided by a triple bottom line: commerce, community, and climate. I'm committed to expanding environmental and economic justice, especially for near port communities, small minority-owned businesses as well. My experience is needed to exercise public policy direction over this growing airport, home port for cruise ships, fishing fleet, marinas, parks, Marine Cargo Alliance with the Port of Tacoma. It took almost a full term just to get your head around this. I am happy to have laid some groundwork to carry on forward. The port generates 121,000 jobs, which is critical to the ongoing COVID recovery effort. And the port and seaport have won awards even while we're going through this huge construction efforts. And that's why I'm leading initiatives to electrify airport and seaport operations and to use alternative fuels for trucks, ships, and planes, because all of that construction also has impacts on communities and on the climate. I'm also ensuring the protection of the restoration of parks, bicycle safety, and cleanup of the Duwamish River. During my next term, I will continue my efforts to reduce the carbon footprint of the port with unprecedented levels of state and federal funding for clean energy projects, as well as to inspire youth and pursue port-related jobs by promoting innovation, apprenticeships, and internships.
All right.
And just the last thing is, because of this district, the transformation of the waterfront, the ability to make
Fred,
the
time's
port
up. Thank you.
is a great moment. Thank
All
you.
right. Next up, Todd Curtis. Todd, you're on mute.
Can you hear me? Very good.
Yes, we can. All right.
Well, thank you all for this opportunity. I'm Todd Curtis. This is a unique opportunity. I'd like to ask for your endorsement as a first-time candidate, but not a first-time person in transportation. I've spent just about all of my 35 years in the industry in some form of transportation, starting with my service as an Air Force flight test engineer. And I was at Boeing as an engineer on, among other things, a 777 project. And for the last couple of decades, running my own consulting company. But most of my work has gone well beyond technology of transportation and going into areas such as air travel risk, reducing air travel risk rather, working with industry partners, both in the US and abroad, and also using traditional and online media to directly engage the public in the same effort. More recently, I've worked with a number of nonprofits to try and diversify the kind of people who are in transportation careers, encouraging young people to pursue careers that not only give them living wage jobs, but also pathways to success in a number of other careers, both inside and outside of transportation. It's been my personal and professional experience that technology affects both the communities it serves and and also affects the people who work in those industries. Now, it affects the community it serves, obviously, by providing income, providing jobs, providing economic opportunity, but it also has negative effects, environmental effects, which, as the world has come to realize, is something that we can't turn away from. There is no going back. When it comes to the environment, failure is not an option. And one of the things that I will do on the port is to ensure that the range of technologies that will improve both technology, improve transportation, and improve the environment are things I'll push forward. It's for this reason, to promote transportation, to promote the economic development of this community, and to promote the health of the community, that I want to serve as your port commissioner. I'm proud to have the endorsement of the 30th and the 31st legislative district Democrats, and I'd like to add the 43rd to that list. And I kindly
Thank you,
ask
Todd. Time's up.
for your support. Thank you.
All right, and last candidate for port number 5, Jesse Tam. Jesse, when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jesse Tam. I am running for Port of Seattle Commissioner, position 5, to serve you. I'm an immigrant, came to this country at 17 years old with $300 in my pocket. After finished college, which I paid my way through, and 22 years later, I opened my first bank in downtown Seattle as the CEO of the bank. Throughout the years as a banker, I have made hundreds of $1 million loans to small minority and women businesses, creating a lot of jobs. I enjoy working with families to make sure they have good living. Throughout the years, I have given back to the community. I served 38 years as a Rotarian for Rotary Club, including being a past district governor. I also served as a mentor for Seattle youth for 32 years. And that's my great way to enjoy working with young people to make sure they have the opportunity. Equity is my pride of my life. I work very hard to make sure everybody have equal opportunities going forward in lifetime. I enjoy working with many people to keep the environment clean and green. This is where I call home. I like to see my family continues to enhance that kind of a green environment going forward. That would be my priority to serve you as a commissioner. I am proud to be endorsed by ATU 587. I am also endorsed by past district governor Gary Locke, King County Assessor John Wilson, Bellevue Mayor Dean Robertson, Senator Claire Wilson, Representative Jamila Taylor, and many others. I'm looking forward to serve you as your commissioner. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jesse. Before we move on to Seattle District 6, I would just like to remind everybody, if you would like to vote on endorsements tonight, you must first sign in on our credential form. Rob and others have put the credential form sign-in link in chat. You can find it there. All right, Seattle Council District 6. We have 3 candidates here: Pete Hanning, John Lisbon, and Dan Strauss. Is Pete Hanning here?
No, I don't think so.
Pete Hanning is not here. All right, thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak for Pete Hanning? Okay. Moving on then to John Lisbon. Is John Lisbon here? Yes. All right. Whenever you're ready, John.
Yes, I am. Thank you. 43rd. I will not speak for Pete Hanning. I moved here 25 years ago when Seattle was the most livable city in the country. I don't know if anybody remembers that. During that time, I built a business that became one of the fastest growing companies in Washington. I also had a dream of public service and graduated from the UW Evans School of Public Administration. Over the past decade, we've seen livability in Seattle really degrade. But my vision of a livable Seattle has never wavered. In fact, it's kind of my guiding star. I ran for this position 4 years ago and had a couple of things I was advocating for. We must fully fund the police and non-commissioned community service officers. Developers should build affordable housing on site, not pay a fee, so it's built somewhere else 4 years later. And we must preserve and enhance our tree canopy to meet our 30% goal. And what's happened over the past 4 years, we lost 400 police officers because of the council's pledge to defund them. 88% of the housing being built in the mandatory housing affordability program has been built off-site somewhere else 4 years later. The Land Use Committee summarily rejected 4 amendments from the Urban Forestry Commission that has literally left trees hanging, existing trees, that is. Leadership, members of the 43rd, leadership is not talk, it's action. I'm running for Seattle City Council because of my vision that Seattle can once again be the most livable city in the country. And I'd be honored to get your support, 43rd.
All right, thank you, John. And next for Seattle District 6, Dan Strauss. All right, Councilmember Strauss, when you're ready.
Oh, thank you. I'm Councilmember Dan Strauss, representing you in District 6. In my first 6 months in office, we faced a global pandemic, a recession, a civil rights reckoning, and civil unrest. One of those things alone would knock a normal person down, and together we were resilient. I never quit working for you. I worked from my district office at the Ballard Library so that you don't have to go out of your way to have your voice heard by City Hall. My office focuses on 3 top priorities: addressing public safety, addressing homelessness, and creating housing that is affordable for working families, because the family I grew up in should be able to afford to live in the Seattle of today and tomorrow. I operate public safety task forces implementing real-time solutions by connecting small businesses, residents, and the people who can meet the needs. Yes, defund the police was a mistake, and I support fully funding the police with critical alternatives. Today, we have community service officers patrolling our streets, park rangers in our parks, Health One responding to emergencies, and it was my amendment that brought council's budget into 99% alignment with Mayor Harrell's SPD investments and fully funded our officer recruitment plan. I've resolved encampments in parks without sweeps, and now I'm partnering with Mayor Harrell to scale up our homelessness response teams, or our homelessness response, by expanding to have neighborhood-based homelessness response teams. Things are better, but better isn't good enough. I want to raise my kids in a neighborhood that is safer than the one that I grew up in. Growing up in District 6, I see the horizon. It has a brighter future than what we have today, as long as we don't let up. I've dedicated my life to public service. I've navigated hard times and delivered for our district and city by bringing people together to find common ground. I'm Councilmember Dan Strauss. I ask for your support to keep the momentum for our city. I've been endorsed by over 20 elected and former elected officials and union organizations across the city.
All right, thank you, Dan. Moving next to Seattle Council District 7. We have 3 nominated candidates here: Isabella Kerner, Bob Kettle, and Andrew Lewis. Isabel Kerner.
I don't think she's here.
Oh, Isabel Kerner is not here. All right. Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to speak for Isabel Kerner before we move on? Okay, not seeing anyone. Bob Kettle is next. Is Bob here? Okay, Bob, when you're ready.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, 43rd. I'm Bob Kettle. I am a Democrat, though sometimes called a pragmatic progressive. I remain a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life, though was apolitical for nearly a quarter century while serving in the Navy. Today, I'm a candidate for Seattle City Council District 7. The road to this point started while I was still in the Navy, where I twice chose Seattle, and more importantly, met and chose Sarah, my wife, then at the time the legal director of the ACLU of Washington, where she was the co-lead counsel on the case that brought down Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Major Margie Witt, who took on the policy, was my first endorsement. I have become a satellite. I married a local girl, found a home here on Queen Anne, went to UW's Evans School, became a volunteer with nonprofits, including the Queen Anne Community Council. Most importantly, I became a dad, and a stay-at-home dad at that. And of course, the transition was complete when we got our Subaru. Why am I running? I'm running because of my great concern about the City Council's failure to address the issues facing the city, to include public safety, public health, and homelessness. The impact of these challenges go far beyond the issues themselves, notably with the ability to activate our downtown neighborhood, the viability of our public transport system, our buses, and our city's post-pandemic recovery. I'm also running to bring leadership with a North Star, building on my experience as a naval officer and a volunteer in our neighborhood. We need to bring accountability and transparency to our city government, not just to the Seattle Police Department and other elements of the public safety, but also to elected officials in government, and importantly, to the programs they oversee. Lastly, we need good governance that is engaged with our neighborhoods. It requires city council leadership that will bring in all stakeholders and is positive in that engagement on the council itself, which is important, but also with the mayor and administration, plus the county and state too. Bottom line, we need pragmatic and progressive approach to address the issues facing our city. Thank you, and I ask for your endorsement.
Thank you. All right, next, Andrew Lewis. Do we have Andrew Lewis? Yes, whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, 43rd District Democrats. It's an honor to join you this evening and seek your support as we stood together 4 years ago in my initial campaign for the Seattle City Council. For those of you who I have not had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Andrew Lewis. I represent District 7 on the Seattle City Council, which includes parts of Magnolia, the Queen Anne neighborhood, South Lake Union, downtown Belltown, among other points in between. For the past 4 years, I have led on a number of different issues at the Seattle City Council, and I'm happy to give a couple of highlights in the brief time that we have here this evening. I led my colleagues over the course of the last year in approving a new cycle of investments in our parks through a renewal of the Metropolitan Park District, which seeks to renovate half of our community centers and make them climate resiliency hubs to get us through events of extreme smoke and heat in our summer and provide a place of refuge for our neighbors most in need of shelter during those events. I work together with business and with service providers to reduce the cost of building new permanent supportive housing by 15% by waiving overhead like unnecessary bike storage rules and tedious design review processes. We have worked together as a council to bring forward a number of different alternative interventions for public safety that we continue to work to scale, including delivered care and the Third Avenue project on Third Avenue, our new park ranger program, which kicking off this month with 14 rangers, expanding to 28 in August, and a pilot alternative response program that will be launching later this summer to finally have a civilian alternative response to traditional police response for our neighbors experiencing crisis in mental health and substance addiction. I'm proud to lead on these things for progressive values and ask for your support. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. All right. Next race is Seattle District 4. We have two candidates here, Ron Davis and Maritza Rivera. Is Ron Davis here? Yes. Whenever you're ready, Ron.
Ready. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right now, tax rates for the rich and corporations are at nearly an 80-year low. Yet here in Seattle, one of the richest cities in the history of human civilization, our own Chamber of Commerce just called for a holiday from Jumpstart, which is a tiny tax on top incomes, and it's one of our only sources of progressive revenue. The people with the money never have enough. They will never stop dividing us, and they never let up. And so neither can we. Now, I didn't start life in a place like Roosevelt. I'm the product of a teen pregnancy when my dad quit his job at a diner for a factory with benefits here and minimum wage. It took 10 years until he didn't have to pull 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. But bad as that was, at least my parents were able to buy a house in an okay neighborhood and build a beautiful, stable life for my sister and I. I even got the golden ticket and ended up graduating from a fancy law school and developing skills as a deal maker in enterprise tech startups. But you can't launch a journey like mine in Seattle today. People work 80 hours now just to survive. I am running to make sure everyone gets a real shot like I did, and to make sure that when people's luck runs short, we take care of them, because it could happen to any of us. Many of you know my years of advocacy in the Democratic Party, on the boards of FutureWise, Seattle Subway, the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association, and the YMCA. Some of you know me as a Decatur or a Bryant dad, as a policy wonk, tech colleague, or startup mentor at UW. But what I want you to know is that I'm deeply committed to making sure everyone from every background can afford to live in a place with the kinds of parks, schools, transit, and services that District 4 has to offer, whether they're just getting started or they're aging in place. It's also time for Seattle to lead on equity and climate and on preventing crime and respecting people's rights when we enforce our rules. It's time for to match our reality to our rhetoric. It's the only way we can right the wrongs of the past and build the future we all need. This is why I'm endorsed by the 46 Dems, King County Young Dems, the Young Dems of UW, by 4 unions, and by leaders like Gurmai Zahalai, Joe Nguyen, Terry Moon, Scott Alsbach, Vivian Song Merritt, Sam Cho, and many, many more. I hope you'll join them and fight with me for the future we all deserve.
Thank you, Ron. And next candidate in Seattle District 4 was nominated as Maritza Rivera. Maritza is not here tonight, but is there anyone who would like to speak for her before we move on? All right, seeing no one, we will move on to a big event here. And oh, sorry, I see somebody's hand up. Marcus, yes, did you want to speak for Maritza?
Yeah, I'll speak for Maritza.
All right.
Marcus Courtney, a longtime resident of the 43rd and member of the 43rd District Democrats, proud to speak on behalf of the sole endorsement for Maritza Rivera. I've known Maritza as long as she has lived in Seattle, which is nearly 20 years. She has a long track record of public service, serving in the Clinton White House, doing outreach for Hispanic affairs. She will be an absolute leader when it comes to ensuring that Seattle has strong public safety measures, that is compassionate, ensuring that people have housing first, and making sure that our city is fair and equitable for all. Representation matters here in Seattle, and it is especially important in this race. Maritza is a woman of color. She is raising 2 women, young daughters, who are attending Seattle's public schools. It is absolutely imperative that in order to have a fair and equitable representation on the Seattle City Council, that Maritza Rivera is elected. And it is very important that as the 43rd District Democrats, that you send a strong message that equity matters and equity matters in representation. Because with that, I am proud to endorse Maritza Rivera, and I ask you as 43rd District Democrats to give her your sole endorsement as somebody who will stand up for equity, fairness, and housing. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on now to the big race, Seattle City Council District 3. First candidate in that race is Shobit Agarwal. Shobit, when you're ready.
Hi, 43rd. I'm Shobit Agarwal. I'm running for Seattle City Council District 3. I'm a first-generation gay immigrant from India, and I've lived in Seattle since 2002. From working as a program manager at Microsoft to pursuing their dream as an actor, and to working retail, I have experienced the struggles of work at every level. I'm also a member of the SAG-AFTRA union. I've served on my condo HOA for 5 years. This role has enabled me to listen to my constituents, be empathetic to their problems, and focus on finding and implementing solutions in where we use our funds efficiently and effectively. I get the job done. I prioritize advancing green infrastructure across the city. This includes expanding sound transit with the last mile loop buses. I will also work with Seattle City Light to expand electric infrastructure, which will enable expansion of electric cars as they become more affordable and prevalent. The green energy industry should provide opportunities like internet grid for local businesses. And I especially want to support all local businesses, but especially those owned by women, people of color, and sexual minorities. I want to make housing more affordable by dezoning, leveraging I-135, and reducing competition from non-resident investors. I believe in compassionate solutions for homelessness. I want to enhance public safety by hiring local Seattleites for our police and fire department, while ensuring equal opportunity for all historically excluded communities. I am gay. I support gay rights, LGBTQIA rights, reproductive rights, and workers' right to organize. I want to streamline the process and resolve local constituent concerns like potholes, graffiti, and damaged pavements in a timely manner. I'm in this race because I want to build a more prosperous and equitable Seattle. I'm Shobit Agarwal, and I look forward for the endorsement from 43rd District Democrats. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next candidate for Seattle District 3, Rye Armstrong. When you're ready, Rye.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. The decisions made in this election will affect Seattle for the next half decade, and I'm beyond myself at the direction our city is headed in. It's clear there are candidates in this room that are stuck in the status quo of the past, but only one candidate that's as progressive as the incumbent in District 3 while offering a more accessible and collaborative approach. That is me. Unlike others in this race, I am a working person who does not have the privilege of campaigning without having to work because of passive income from a business entity or from previously making a six-figure salary at a nonprofit. I'm the only third-generation union worker and Democratic Socialist running in this race. Beyond that, I hold a master's in international relations and public policy. Finding myself in a void left by Councilmember Sawant, I desire a Seattle with rent control, universal shelter, and a Green New Deal. You will not hear such progressive policy platforms from any other candidate here tonight, and this LD has historically been on the leading edge of protecting space on the left. I was a sophomore in college when Seattle declared a housing and houselessness crisis in 2015, and yet here we are 8 years later. I am tired of inaction and presentational politics. If you read the lid of my colleagues, you will not find much or any urgency about the climate crisis, which I find astounding as an activist with Extinction Rebellion. We are already endorsed by the local Greens, King County Young Democrats, Everytown, and Moms Demand Action. And as one of the first trans non-binary people endorsed by the National Women's Political Caucus of Washington, I'm honored to have those endorsements and hope for yours tonight. Against left of center business as usual opponents, the support of the 43rd Dems will be critical to stop this conservative shift on the council. I implore you today to side with working people and support us in this fight. Join us at voteforride.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Rye. Next candidate in the race, Andrew. When you're ready, Andrew.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Ashofu. I'm really excited to be in this space and excited to be in the family. I've been involved in the Democratic Party for quite a while. I'm currently the Washington State Stonewall Chair for the Democratic Party. But let's talk a bit about me. I'm coming from a lived experience where I have been unhoused and I was homeless when I was diagnosed with AIDS. I had to navigate systems that were not created for me. So I know what it means to stand up and fight the status quo. I know what it means to also work and campaign. I'm a single earner and I have to go to work every day while I also campaign. But let's also talk about progressiveness. You know, in 2020, we talked about social and racial and equity justice. We talked about creating a space on the table for representation. People came out as ally. And it's time to bring that representation. But most especially, I believe that lived experience brings about humanity in our policy. I have worked in the King County HIV Planning Council, where we brought over $1 million for minorities in HIV care. I have brought over $300,000 for undocumented African migrants here in Washington State for COVID relief. I have done a lot of work on the board of POCAN, on the board of Seattle LGBTQ Center, as my role as co-chair for Seattle LGBTQ Commission on LGBTQ plus rights, not just here in Seattle, but also globally. Because I believe that as I fight for my liberation, I have privileges in me that I can use to fight for others' liberation. And that's what I am bringing to Seattle City Council, not just talking the talk, but walking the work. I do believe that it's time for a change. It's time for grassroots. It's time to take out the status quo, and it's time for the people to lead. I am running a grassroots-based campaign for everyone, with everyone, and especially for Seattle District 3. I hope to earn your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next candidate in Seattle District 3, Alexander Cooley. Alex, when you're ready.
Confirming I can be heard.
Yes.
Well, hello, 43rd. Thank you for being here late tonight as the first vice chair of the 37th LD. I know the hard work you do. My name is Alex Cooley, and I deeply love our city. I believe it's at a turning point. We haven't had leadership that listens. We aren't able to trust that our elected officials will do a good job. We've been hindered by political games, inflexibility, indecisiveness, and special interest money. We can't afford more of the same. I decided to run the day my son was born. I need him to grow up in a place where leaders behave like leaders and respond to their neighbors when they are called upon. In my role as a husband, a father, business owner, care provider, activist, and substitute teacher, I've learned that the most important piece of our lives is how we can be of service to our community. I would like to serve because we need 1 million square feet of home for our homeless neighbors within the next 3 years, creating a pathway to allow for temporary sanctioned encampments for those who aren't yet ready to come inside. Ending the practice of sweeps and adding wraparound services will allow people to build self-sufficient lives of meaning. Additionally, we're going to reinstate the ride-free zone so that Seattle becomes a leader on public transit opportunities for all people nationwide, combating our climate crisis. Immediately, we need to leave the war on drugs behind and invest in education, support services, and job training. I will create a jobs pipeline into our new public safety models for formerly incarcerated people so that those with lived experience can be the next caseworkers, mental health crisis responders, and more. My campaign is being run exactly how I'll run my office, with hard work, direct conversations with our neighbors, and by building solutions together. I'm the only candidate funding their campaign entirely using the Democracy Voucher Program, and I hope to earn your endorsement. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Alex. Next candidate in Seattle District 3, Joy Hollingsworth. Joy, when you're ready.
So I should be able to find the mute by now.
Yes, you're unmuted. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair and the 43rd Democrats. My name is Joy Hollingsworth. I'm a third-generation Seattleite that was born and raised in the historic Central District neighborhood. I'm the daughter of a working-class family who dedicated their lives to public service, from parents who worked at Seattle Parks Department, King County Housing Authority, to a grandmother who worked on our school board during integration. My voice is one of experience. I'm a former Division I professional athlete. I'm a college women's basketball coach. I was a girls program director for youth development. I operate a family-owned small business, and I currently work with the Food Access Network with over 400 state partners. Over the last 39 years, I've seen how local policies have impacted the communities and the ones that have fallen through the unseen gap. I'm running to prioritize essential city services with funding and policies that affect our day-to-day life, to connect our communities to the 45 City of Seattle departments, to reevaluate current policies, to enhance measurable impact, to have a solution-based approach to solving challenges, and to picking up the phone to create an open line of communication. Our top priorities: safe and healthy communities. I'll support policies that address staffing vacancies for our first responders, that's fire, EMT, and police, reduce gun violence, increase mental health access, and food access points. We'll talk about housing stability and affordability. We'll get our unhoused neighbors inside as quickly as possible by expanding investments in shelters. Economic recovery and small business, for small businesses to have a seat at the table as they're the anchor to our community, and youth enrichment, investments in clean parks, community centers, libraries, youth jobs, apprenticeships, and clean streets. I will build on our successes and improve on what's not working well with a sense of urgency, measurable goals, optimism, and teamwork. I'm proudly endorsed by our 37th Legislative Democrats, UFCW 3000, Lyona 242, Ironworkers, and many community members. I'm Joy Hollingsworth, and I would be extremely honored to earn your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. Next candidate, Efren Hudnell. Efren? All right, when you're ready.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, good evening, 43rd. It is always a pleasure to be back. I've sat on many of these endorsement meetings myself, and I want to start just by saying thank you to everyone on the call. I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it always. This is democracy in action. This is it. People taking time out of their days to learn more about the people seeking elected office and influencing that process. And thank you to the team for putting this together. I know the hard work that goes behind it. With that in mind, I'm going to depart a little bit from the usual, tell you about myself and then who's endorsed me and move on. You've been talked at enough tonight. So I'm just going to talk about the moment we're in. We're at a generations long march to where we are today. The pandemic, Black Lives Matter, January 6th, all of it are canaries in the coal mine, if you will, telling us that the status quo is not enough. It never was enough. There's no going back to any romanticized vision of what Seattle once was. There's only what it can be. Seattle has more potential than any city I have ever seen in the United States of America, and I've lived on both coasts. So with that in mind, I think that the Seattle of tomorrow needs a council with 4 or 5 new faces. Let's be honest, we're probably 5 new faces that is not willing to trade tomorrow for today. The climate crisis is here. Housing affordability and homelessness is getting worse. And all this talk about public safety and public health, we need a council that understands how those 3 things interact with one another because they don't stand alone. I'm willing to do that work. I'm ready and committed to do that work. I won't pretend to have all the answers, but in partnership with community and stakeholders, I believe that we can build a Seattle that we can be proud to pass on to the next generation. One that not only looks through an equity lens to serve people today, but those who will come after we're done. So I humbly and respectfully ask for your consideration and endorsement tonight. It is the honor of a lifetime to be here, I'll be honest. But either way, I look forward to continuing the conversation and delivering the city that I know that we can be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Efren. And next candidate in this race, Alex Hudson. Alex, when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Hudson. It's so good to be here with you tonight. I'm a progressive problem solver and an urbanist with a long track record of delivering results for our city. I'm a first-generation college student, a longtime First Hill renter, a public school parent, a car-free transit rider, and a cancer survivor. These experiences fuel my commitment to justice and a government that eliminates disparities. I'll continue our fight for a fair economy that uplifts us equitably by pushing the ultra wealthy to pay their fair share and invest in people. We can have a city where everyone is safe and where we are all able to afford to have a place to call home, where no one sleeps on the streets, where we have alternatives to policing, and we're investing in mental health, where we have great public transit and parks filled with children and elderly people. We can build a climate resilient city that has good jobs and a healthy planet, a true emerald city where everyone can thrive. I'm running because that's not too much to ask for, and it's possible to have. I'm a nonprofit executive director with over a decade of experience, including running the First Hill Neighborhood Organization for 5 years. I've created lasting positive change already, made transit fare-free for every young person in Washington, led the fight for a fair deal from the convention center, delivered millions in affordable housing dollars, and cited shelters for unhoused neighbors. I know how to build coalitions that pass legislation and budgets that advance progressive change. I don't back down from a fight, but I know how to do this without making enemies because I'm laser focused on action and progress. I've released extensive policy papers, actual plans for how we can make the change that we all want on my website, and I'm proud to have earned the endorsements of ATU 587, SEIU 925, SEIU 775, the National Women's Political Caucus of Washington, and Transportation for Washington, elected leaders like Claudia Balducci and Joe McDermott, and dozens of community members. I'm ready from day one to keep the fight for an equitable, fair Seattle, and I'm asking for your support.
All right, thank you, Alex. And last candidate for Seattle D3, Bobby Goodwin. Bobby, when you're ready. Okay.
Good evening. So my name is Bobby Goodwin, and I appreciate, again, getting the opportunity here to speak to folks. So I'm running. I made this decision really just because I've been frustrated increasingly with the lack of leadership that I've seen our local politicians starting around the time of the CHOP, and it's led to a real significant degradation in terms of the feeling of safety in the community, and And it's unfortunate. We need to do better. I mean, we all recognize there's an issue in terms of this trust gap between law enforcement and the community. And I think that for those of you who had the opportunity to listen to last week's forum, you would have heard a cacophony of voices vilifying law enforcement, painting a picture as though it was the police who are responsible for the problems that we're facing in the city. And I think it's simply wrongheaded. We need to be able to communicate more openly and honestly about the issues that we're dealing with if we're going to have success. I was the only one of the candidates who would have in fact voted with what was the minority to have state law adopted into the city code with respect to, again, the criminalization of drug possession. And is that because I like putting people in jail? No, I'm a public defender and I've done that for 12 years. I fought to help people get out of jail, hundreds and hundreds of people. But the reality is we need an intervention, and the drug epidemic is killing people every day. And this inaction that we're seeing right now, this toxic compassion, it's not working. And if we follow the strategy that these other folks want to adopt, and we let Seattle be the place that we can have legal drug consumption and use, it just means it's going to be that much more of an inviting place for people who are struggling with drug addiction to come, and for folks who are exploiting them to come. And we don't want that for this community. We want a place that's safer, that we can all feel comfortable, bringing your kids and families, inviting folks. So appreciate you all taking the time here to listen to me, and love your endorsement.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. All right. And this brings us to our last race, Seattle School Board District 3. First candidate, Christy Robertson. Christy, when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Christy Robertson, parent of 2 SPS kids and a community advocate, and I'm running for Seattle School Board District 3. I believe our public schools are the heart of our community, and right now they're facing a budget crisis, losing enrollment, and the district is preparing for school closures. And I can guarantee that without intervention, marginalized kids will again be the ones most impacted. As the parent of an autistic child and through years of volunteer work, I've seen firsthand how schools can fail our kids and how easily this can be ignored. I've dedicated myself to advocating for meaningful change. I've worked on projects like a special education guide in the top 10 languages spoken in the district, a campaign to raise awareness about the importance of inclusive education, and advocacy for kids from the local level to the legislature. Here's what I want to do on the school board. 1, bring back community involvement and promote a nothing about us without us policy. Those directly impacted are crucial to achieving the most effective and efficient solutions. 2, dive deeply into our budget. Clearly understanding our finances is critical for decision-making and will help with future budget asks in Olympia. 3, face special education head on. Tackling issues one kid at a time will never be equitable. We need systemic change toward inclusion and restorative practices. The needs of the most vulnerable can guide us to a healthier, happier, and more successful student body as a whole. I have union endorsement and the sole endorsement from the 46th as of tonight. Let's restore our community's faith in our public schools and give every child a chance to thrive. I'd be honored to have your endorsement.
Thank you, Christy. Next up, next candidate for Seattle School Board District 3, Evan Briggs. Evan, when you're ready.
Hi, thank you. My name is Evan Briggs. I'm running for District 3 Seattle School Board. As the mother of 3 SPS students, one of my core values is that we advocate most effectively for our own children when we advocate for all children. I'm running for the school board because I believe every child in the city deserves an exceptional education, and yet we continue to face persistent inequity. Our opportunity gap and outcomes for special ed students rank among the worst in the nation. In order to effectively address disparities in our schools, we must align our district to focus on student outcomes, because a system that is responsive to the needs of kids is by definition an equitable system. Addressing the issues facing our district requires big picture thinking and a systems approach to enacting meaningful change. As a school board member, I will advocate for increased access to mental health resources by strengthening existing partnerships as well as initiating new ones. Additionally, I will advocate for fiscal accountability to ensure that our financial decisions align with the needs and priorities of our diverse community, and that our budget dollars are being spent in ways that materially benefit kids. Community engagement and clear communication are vital for building strong relationships between schools, families, and the broader community, which is why I will also advocate for inclusive engagement policies and proactive, transparent communication. I am very proud to be endorsed by Seattle School Board President Brandon Hersey, Seattle School Board Director Chandra Hampson, King County Council Member Gurmai Zahile, Vice Chair of the Washington State Board of Education, Harry M. Martin Morris, and I would also be honored to have your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And last candidate for Seattle School Board D3, Ben Gittenstein. Ben, when you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Ben Gittenstein. I'm running for Seattle School Board District 3. I'm going to give you some numbers to explain why I'm running for the Seattle School Board. 8,000. That's the number of students who will leave our district between now and 2032, representing a 15% decline in enrollment. 24%. That's the current number, percentage of African-American boys who are meeting 7th grade math standards. That's down from 31% just a few years ago. Over 400, that's the number of days that we kept kids out of school buildings and on screens instead of in buildings and having the education they needed during the pandemic. Over a decade, that's how long it will take neighborhoods to recover when we close their neighborhood schools, which the district is planning to do. And lastly, 0. That is the school district's effective response to the death of a student at Ingram High School. I'm running for Seattle School Board because I believe that every student deserves a great education. And I believe we can deliver that for our students, but not without real change. If you believe, like I do, that Seattle Public Schools needs to get on a new track and go in a new direction, I think I deserve your vote. Thanks very much, and I hope I win your endorsement.
Thank you, Ben. All right, and with that, we have reached the end of all of our candidate speeches, and we will now have voting. Let me just double check. The links to the ballot are in chat. Please make sure that you sign in with your voting code first. Also, please make sure that you fill out your ballot and use your voting code. Before we move on, Rob, I see you've got your hand up as our...
Mr. Chair, I'm ready to present the results of the practice ballot if folks would be interested in.
Yes, let's see what those are so that people can see how the voting process works here.
So while the screen is loading, I want to encourage everybody to give applause or virtual applause or a thumbs up via Zoom to Sophia Lee, who has done an absolutely amazing job preparing this tally system.
Screen sharing is still spinning up, it looks like, Rob. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Mr. Chair, is my audio coming in okay?
Yeah, your audio is fine.
Okay.
Right now I'm just seeing black for screen sharing.
I'm going to stop the share and reshare.
All right.
There we go. So we had 3 practice ballots. The first one of which was a question related to pets. As you can see in columns M and N, we had a total of 2 abstentions and 62 non-abstentions. So our denominator for calculating 60% threshold and 40% threshold is 62 non-abstaining votes. In column S here, or in columns Q, R, and S, you can see the voting results. So in this case, we had 6 unique votes for birdies, 11 for bunnies, 37 for kitties, 5 for no endorsement, etc. There were 2 positions that received more than 40%, but less than 60%. I'm going to highlight those in yellow. So those positions were puppies and kitties. So in this case, we did not have any that received greater than 60%. So no candidate won on the initial ballot. 2 received greater than 40%. So in the pets case, we would next have a runoff between puppies and kitties. So if you're a dog person or a cat person, you'd probably feel very, very passionate about that. And if you were a reptile person, you might, for that runoff vote, you might choose no endorsement because you prefer your pets with scales instead of fur. Moving to our pizza vote, columns Q through S here have the results of our pizza vote. In this case, we had 4 abstentions, 60 non-abstentions. And so our denominator for percentages is 60 non-abstaining votes. In column S, you can see the voting results. And so in this case, no topping had greater than 40%, but no topping had greater than 60%. So no topping won endorsement on the first ballot, but 1 topping of cheese had greater than 40%. So we would do a runoff between cheese, no endorsement, and abstain in our runoff ballot on pizza toppings. Now, on our pride ballot, and I'd highlighted these while some of our votes were coming in, so apologies for some of the highlights being off, but we had 6 abstentions and 58 non-abstentions. So our denominator was 58. And in this case, a lot of folks voted for all or nearly all, but there was a little bit of variation. And so in this case, multiple candidates obtained greater than 60% on the first ballot. And so we would endorse, in this case, asexual, bi, gay, lesbian, pan, queer, and trans. And agender and non-binary came up just 2 and 1 vote short of achieving that 60%. So that's the tally sheet. Again, please join me in thanking Sophia Lee with a clap or a thumbs up or one of the other Zoom reactions or video reaction or email or text Sophia afterwards, because we are really great we have a really great tally system that makes it very efficient to calculate our votes, thanks to all the hard work that Sophia has done. But you can see the results of these 3 here. So again, pets, we go to a runoff between puppies, kitties, and no endorsement. Pizza, we would go to a runoff for cheese and no endorsement. And then in pride, we have endorsed nearly all of the options that were on the ballot.
All right, thank you, Rob, for running us through that. Okay, so ballots are open. I will put the ballot link in chat once again. Because it is 9:15, we will leave the ballot open for a few minutes. We also did notice that Bobby Goodwin was left off because it was a late endorsement. It was left off the ballot. We have added him onto the ballot. You may resubmit a ballot to vote for an endorsement for Bobby Goodwin, and your last vote is what will be tallied. Ballot form is here in the link. While we wait, let's see, I will say 5 minutes. Let me put 5 minutes on the timer here over my shoulder. While we wait for everybody to vote, we will move on to committee chairs. Let's talk about, let's see. Nasheen is not here to talk about fundraising. And Cody is not here to talk about PCO. Oh, wait, so we do have a little bit of PCOs. Let me share my screen while talk about this. Okay, we do need more PCOs. If you want to become a PCO, check the King County Find My District to get your precinct number. Check our list of vacant precincts, fill out an application form. And then as we get to the primary, you can help us get out the vote for the primary. After we vote, I'll get this all information onto the chat so you have it. We'll also get some emails out to everybody, but we do need PCOs to help us get out the vote. Let's see, a reminder, Pride Brunch, we talked about at the beginning of the meeting. We've got Pride Brunch coming up on Sunday of this week, June 25th. We'd love to have you join us at a Belltown location. And thank you to James Barker for hosting us for that. Let's see. I'm just checking my notes over here. Justin Peterson has been doing a bunch of hard work for branding for the 43rd, including the Pride poster, the forum poster that we had last week, the graphics behind me, website updates, graphic updates, and all that. So thank you to Justin Peterson for making those changes. Board members, while we wait for the voting to complete, is there, oh geez, I am sorry. I thought I was sharing. I had never actually hit the share button. Are there any other board members who have a committee update? If so, please unmute and talk.
This is James. If you are a candidate, and you're endorsed tonight, while we still have you here, look for your information in the endorsements tab of the 43rddemocrats.org website and let me know at the communications@43rddemocrats.org email address if you notice any errors in information about you on the website. You can email me directly to get anything updated once we publish our endorsement list. Also, the Pride Brunch link is published on the website as well and should be on socials shortly, if not already. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board updates? While we're waiting for voting to complete, I would like to second what Rob said, and thank you to Sophia Lee for all the hard work that she's done on getting the voting system in place and helping us get our tech cleaned up, working hard with Rob on that. And thank you to Rob for running voting today. And thank you to Dawn for running the meeting today. Thank you to you all for showing up. We are moving into election season, and we can definitely use your help in helping us get out the vote for this election season. So if you're interested in getting more involved with us here at the 43rd, we would love to have you involved. You can do that by becoming a PCO or by filling out this volunteer opportunity form. All right. With that, been the 5 minutes of voting. Is there anyone who has been unable to complete their voting? Is there anyone who has been unable to complete their voting? If so, raise your hand and we will assist you. Anyone unable to complete voting? Okay. I am not seeing that anyone has had trouble voting. So with that, Rob, if we can close the ballot, and then you can please present the results as soon as you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go ahead and share screen and present our results.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to unhide some of these tally sheets as we get ready to view our results. All right, Seattle School District 3. We have a endorsed candidate, Christine Robertson. Please join me in congratulating Christine Robertson with greater than 60% of our 59 non-abstaining votes. City of Seattle, District 3. We have a runoff with no candidate receiving more than 60% of the vote. We have a runoff with Alex Hudson and Joy Hollingsworth, each receiving greater than 40% of the vote. City of Seattle, District 4. Please join me in congratulating our endorsed candidate, Ron Davis.
Congratulations, Ron.
City of Seattle, District 7. Please join me in congratulating our endorsed candidate, Andrew Lewis. For those of you who are curious, there were 67 non-abstaining votes in this race. So 49 over 67 is 73%. City of Seattle, District 6. We have a runoff between Dan Strauss and no endorsement or abstain, with just under 60% and no other candidate receiving greater than 40%. Port of Seattle, number 5. Please join me in congratulating our endorsed candidate, Fred Felleman.
Congratulations, Fred.
King County District 8, King County Council District 8. Please join me in congratulating Teresa Mosqueda.
Congratulations, Teresa.
King County Council District 4, we have a 3-way runoff. Please join me in congratulating all 3 of our candidates, Becca Johnson-Poppy, Jorge Barron, and Sarah Reineveld, each with greater than 40% and no candidate with greater than 60%. King County Assessor. Got to add the tally here. Please join me in congratulating our once and hopefully future assessor, John Wilson.
Congratulations, John.
King County Port District 2, please join me in congratulating our endorsed candidate and current incumbent and current traveler to Korea, Sam Cho. Last but not
Sam.
least, King County Council District 2, achieving the highest percentage of votes tonight, if I am remembering these correctly, Girmay Zahilai with 97.14% of the vote.
Congratulations, Girmay.
So we have a few runoffs to do, so please sit tight while our tech team preps some runoff ballots for you.
All right, so that is a runoff for Seattle District 3 and a runoff for King County District 4. We'll have the ballots created here just momentarily. This is a reconsideration ballot.
Mr. Chair, there's also a runoff for Dan Strauss in
That's right.
Seattle
Sorry.
City Council
And
District.
also Seattle District 6 for Dan Strauss. You may again select one or more candidate to endorse, or choose abstain or no endorsement in these reconsideration ballots. Sorry, Rob, for Seattle, sorry, for King County District 4, because all candidates were eligible for reconsideration. We had 3 candidates, all 3 candidates were eligible for reconsideration. We do not go to a reconsideration vote, according to the endorsement rules. Correct, Tim. So there is no endorsement for King County Council District 4. All 3 candidates received more than 40%, but less than 60% of the vote. And so no endorsement in that race because according to our rules, no reconsideration vote. And Marie, to your question, right now, we are waiting for the reconsideration ballot to be created so that we can vote for reconsideration in Seattle District 3 and Seattle District 6. While we're waiting for those ballots, let's move to a good of the order. If anyone has a good of the order, would like a minute to speak, please raise your hand. Yes, right.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Just want to shout out that Friday is Trans Pride at Volunteer Park. And it would be really great if everyone in this room was there. And I'd love to see you there. So please join us. I don't need a whole minute, but I'm just buying time for you, Paul, and for the process to take place. So please come to Trans Pride and meet new people. Much love.
Let me put that in. Here you go. There's a link to the website with more information about Trans Pride in Seattle.
Paul, this is Emily. We have a
Yeah.
question in the chat
Oh, yes.
from Tom.
If 2 out of 3 candidates get more than 40% of the vote, we have a runoff. If 3 out of 3 candidates get more, we don't have a runoff. Yes, that is correct. So I'm paging in my understanding of the historical reasoning on this. If all candidates receive more than 40%, but less than 60%, I believe the thinking has been how many people will change their mind. And so we do not go to a reconsideration vote in the case that all candidates receive more than 40%, but less than 60%. Okay, I think we may have the ballot ready to go. If that's the case, Rob, if you are able to post it in the chat here, and we will have the reconsideration vote for Seattle City Council District 3 and Seattle City Council District 6. Yes, Linda, our endorsement rules do have that written in there. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rob. This is the reconsideration vote ballot. Again, please make sure to use your voting code and make your selection for these races. You may vote for one or multiple or no endorsement or abstain. Let me give us a couple of minutes on the timer. All right. While we wait for everybody to vote, again, I'll ask if there's any additional good of the order or other questions. Feel free to raise your hand if you have a good of the order or if you have a question. John, yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I saw just two races on my ballot. Are
Mhm.
the other races, like for county council, going to be on separate ballots?
We already voted on those and we came to endorsement decisions on the other races. This is the reconsideration vote.
Okay, I thought District 4 in the county council
Oh,
was.
my apologies on that. Because all three candidates, there's three candidates in there for that endorsement vote. All three candidates received more than 40%, but less than the 60% threshold. And the endorsement rules are such that in a case in which all candidates receive more than 40%, but less than 60%, we do not do a reconsideration vote for that race.
So there'll be no endorsement in the
So
fourth district.
there is no endorsement in the King County District 4 race for the primary, correct?
All right, thanks, Paul.
Yeah. All right. It's been a couple of minutes. Is there anyone who has not had a chance to vote? If there's anyone who has not had a chance to vote or has had trouble voting, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we will close the ballot and get the results. Thank you, Rob, for letting us know about Pride Shabbat. All right, seeing nobody raising their hands because they haven't finished voting or have had trouble voting, we will close the ballot. And Rob, whenever you are ready to present the results, please do so. Motion to adopt lo-fi waiting music. Yeah, if I was able to do that, I would do so, but I do not know how to do music with Zoom. My apologies. Michael, I'm not clear on your question.
Mr. Chair, are you able to see the shared screen?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. So our results for City of Seattle City Council District 3, neither of the runoff candidates achieved the 60% threshold. So we will look forward to hearing from candidates on this one again when we do our general election endorsements.
All right.
And on question 2, in City of Seattle City Council District 5, neither the candidate nor the no endorsement position received greater than 60%. So we have no recommendation in the primary in this district.
Okay.
So in both of the runoff cases, none of the candidates in the runoff nor the no endorsement position achieved greater than 60%.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Rob. James, do you have the list of the endorsements? And those are going on the website shortly, yes?
It's actually done, just about to go live.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. And with that, we've reached the end of the meeting. Thank you all for bearing with us and going 42 minutes late. This is an important part of the process of getting out the vote and building awareness and ensuring that we have solid candidates for our local governments. So thank you, everybody, and congratulations to our endorsed candidates. We will look to our website very shortly here for the list of endorsed candidates. And for those races in which we did not endorse in the primary, we will come back again and have an endorsement meeting for the general election. All right. If there's any, just before we close the meeting, is there any additional questions, comments, concerns, good of the order anyone has? All right, seeing no hands raised, no comments in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our endorsement meeting tonight. We hope to see you back here again soon. Thank you very much.